Lab 1 was generating charged tape, and this lab was done February 3rd of 2026. Our group is Amanda Acosta, Alyssa Rodriguez, Alyssa Halugin, and Montserrat Nunes. Okay, so for our intro, basically not the objective, but like the explanation is that the electric charge is a basic property of matter that most people learn about early in school. There are two types of charges, positive and negative, and charged objects can either attract or repel each other depending on their charges. Even though we can't really see charges directly, we can observe how charged objects interact. So in this lab, we use two pieces of transparent tape to create the static charges by pulling the tape off a surface. Instead of collecting numbers, we focus on observing how the charged tape behaved with objects with other pieces of tape. The goal was to describe these interactions and use our observations to better understand how electric charges act when they are at rest. Okay, so for the materials for part A, we used two pieces of tape measuring 40 to 60 centimeters and a meter stick and the table. The meter stick was used to touch the tape to see if it would repel. For part B, two pieces of tape were used measuring 40 to 60 centimeters again. And for part C, it was three pieces of tape because this time we used it for the original, the top, the bottom, and the table. And again, measuring 40 to 60 centimeters. They were all measured 40 to 60 centimeters. For part D, we used two pieces of tape, bottom and top.
Beginning with part A, we first began by cutting a 10 centimeter piece of tape and folding about 1 centimeter at one end to make a handle. We pressed the tape sticky side down onto the table and ran our finger along it to make sure it was fully attached. Then we quickly peeled it off using the handle and brought our finger near the tape without touching it. Recording the interaction, we repeated this using a pen and using a ruler. To discharge the tape, we ran a finger along the non-sticky side until the tape was discharged. For part B, we next charged two pieces of tape and brought them near each other. One of the tapes was attached to the table and the other was held close with the non-sticky sides facing each other. We then recorded and observed our findings. In part C, we placed one tape on top of the table labeled B and another directly on top labeled T. We charged the tape and attached it to the side of the table. We peeled them off together, discharged them, and tested them as a unit with the charged original tape. We then peeled them off together and separated the top and bottom pieces. Holding one tape in each hand, we observed their interaction with the original charged tape. Finally, in part D, we stuck the top and bottom tapes back together in their original positions and made a final observation.
So for the results for part A, we got that following the removal of the tape and its attachment to the edge of the table, our group observed the attraction of the tape to our finger, a pen, and a ruler that was ran alongside it. During this procedure, the charged tape appeared to follow and move towards our finger and the pen. To remove the charge of the tape, our group ran a finger along the non-sticky side completely. Following this step, the tape was no longer attracted to any objects and did not demonstrate any additional attraction that was previously observed. Now for the part A data, the tape charge was charged, and to determine whether if it was attracted or if it repelled or neutral to other objects, it was attracted. And then after discharging the tape charge was not charged anymore, and if it attracted to anything or repelled or neutral to other objects, it was neutral. For part B, if two pieces of the tape are charged and then placed near one another, our group predictions were that the two pieces of tape will repel each other and move in opposite directions. as mentioned previously, because both pieces of tape will be charged following the removal from the table, we predict they will not attract one another. For the part B data, tape 1 was charged, tape 2 was charged, and to determine if it was attracted, repelled, or neutral to original tape, it repelled. The results for part C were that after discharging and peeling apart the top and bottom pieces of tape, our group predicted that the top tape would be attracted to the original tape because it would not be charged, and the bottom tape would repel the original because it would be charged. Following part C's procedure, our group observed different responses when placing each respective piece near the original. When placing the bottom tape near the original, our group observed that the bottom piece was repelled by the original. When placing the top tape near the original, our group observed that the top piece was attracted to the original. The part C data. So the tape combination was that the original bottom repelled and the original top attracted. The part D results were that after placing the two pieces of tape together, our group predicted that the charge would be neutral since the top and bottom pieces each had different charges. After testing, our group observed that the combined tape piece neither attracted nor repelled the original, which helped us conclude that the charge was neutral. Now, for the part D data, there's not much data to record, but what we did get was that the tape was bottom top, and whether it attracts, repels, or neutral to the original tape, we got that it was neutral. So our conclusion was that after completing this experiment, our group concluded that following part 8, the removal of the tape from the table created a transfer of electrons that gave the tape a positive charge. When moving a finger, pen, and a ruler in front of the tape, these objects, which had negative charges, attracted the positively charged tape. In part B, following the charging of both pieces of tape, when the pieces were placed together, we observed that they repelled one another. This phenomenon can be explained because both pieces had a positive charge. As we have previously learned, opposite forces attract while the same forces repel one another. For our second conclusion, in part C, after peeling apart the tapes, our group correctly predicted that the top piece would be attracted to the original, while the bottom piece would be repelled by the original. Because the bottom piece was the piece that was in contact with the table, we predicted that this was the piece that would become positively charged and would then be repelled by the positively charged original piece. Additionally, our group predicted that the top piece would be negatively charged because it was previously discharged, and would in turn be attracted to the original piece of positively charged tape. These reactions can be attributed to opposite forces attracting one another, while the same forces, they repel each other. Now for our third conclusion in part D, our group predicted that the combined tapes would create a neutral charge due to them being composed of both a positive and a negative tape. After placing them together and testing them, our group observed that the tapes were indeed neutral and did not attract or repel the original tape, positively charged. As we previously observed, if the tape had an overall positive or negative charge, it would have attracted or repelled the original tape. Our group acknowledges that any errors that may have been presented throughout our experiment could have been due to us unintentionally discharging or touching the already charged tapes. So the very last slide of our whole entire presentation and for lab 1 is going to be our credits. What we did is that we evenly split slides and jobs so that way it would be easier upon everybody. For the introduction, voiceover, and editing, it was done by Amanda Acosta. Materials and editing was done by Montserrat Nunez. For the procedure and editing, Alyssa Holguin. Results and data and the editing was done by Alyssa Rodriguez. Conclusions and editing was done by Alyssa Rodriguez. At the bottom, I did add a picture to just uh, demonstrate the process all over again and to just get a visual of everything that we did. And that concludes our Lab 1 presentation. Thank you for listening.